All right, welcome to our fourth Come webinar, and we're very pleased today to have Father Barnabas Powell here with us from Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene Greek Orthodox Church in Cumming, Georgia. And I have bookmarked a few different websites that I can share with you to get to know Father Barnabas a little bit better, because he's very prolific with social media and with podcasting and blogs. So many of you know him already from his podcast on Ancient Faith Radio called Faith Encouraged Live. And it's actually a live radio program that airs 2 Sundays a month. And then he has a blog, Faith Encouraged Daily, and a new book that just was released with the same name, Faith Encouraged. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see. So this is the blog on Ancient Faith Ministries, Faith Encouraged. And
you can get that in your email every morning too if you want it. All you have to do is sign up for it.
Wonderful. So you can register for the email subscription. And also, this is the parish website for Father Barnabas's parish in Georgia, and you can see some different video options here. And he also shares about his journey to orthodoxy on the clergy page. So when you have a moment, that's a beautiful thing to be able to read. Looks like another thing is his new book. So I found this photo of Father Barnabas promoting his new book on Twitter. So if you'd like to follow him on Twitter, it also links into the blog. And he's also on Facebook. So it's wonderful because he's bringing all of these different types of content to help us in our faith and help us grow in our faith in different formats. So it's really awesome to see all those different ways that we can connect. And I also wanted to mention, because one of the people that is registered for the webinar today was asking about an informational video series, and Father Barnabas has produced the Journey to Fullness video series, which it came out last October. And during the webinar, he'll talk more about that. And
you can't see it. I had it up on here, but you can't see it.
Oh, thank you. So we have one of the slides that shows more about that and has the website, but you can talk about that as well, because that could be a very useful tool in the festival outreach for those parishes that maybe want to play that video in a place where people could sit and watch it, or during when there aren't church tours. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Father Barnabas for prayer, to open us with prayer.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and on those in the tombs bestowing life. Superintend, O God, our time together, and grant us your peace and your salvation. Fill our hearts with love for you, so that that love will spill out and touch every neighbor around us with the good message of your gospel. For you're a good God, and you love mankind, and we give you glory, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, now and ever into the ages of ages. Amen.
Thank you. So Father Barnabas came out to Portland last October, and during his presentation at the National Missions and Evangelism retreat or conference, he presented many things about welcoming people to the parish and utilizing media. But one of the areas that was of utmost importance and interest to people was festival outreach. And so that's why we've invited him back to this format today to talk to us more about festival outreach. And we wanted to begin by just talking about why festival outreach is essential. And so I wanted to share on our screen here one of the slides that Father Barnabas shared in October. Can everyone see this okay? I think, why isn't your church growing? And so this is a really convicting slide, and just I want to give you the time, Father Barnabas, to kind of talk about why we would want to reach out and why we need to be doing this and changing the mindset of the festival towards this.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we have to kind of settle on is that this can be a mindset shift for many parishes in thinking of the festival as an outreach tool. And I understand that. Most of the time, the festival is seen as the major fundraiser. Most of our budgets, especially those of us who, as my bishop says, are addicted to festivals, God save us, is because, we really see that as a way to make our budget every year. And that's certainly a practical way of thinking about things. And yet, to be honest with you, I'm convinced the Holy Spirit is leading us to think differently about having all of those non-Orthodox people on our grounds and then not giving them an opportunity to connect to our faith. And it starts by a mindset shift that we've worked on very hard here in Cumming, Georgia, to say that we assume, and I think that's later on in the slides as well, we have come to the conclusion that we have to assume that everyone that comes to our parish for any event, but especially the festival, is someone who wants to become Orthodox. They may not know it yet, but we just assume they want to be Orthodox. We assume they want to embrace the fullness of the faith. Now, that mindset shift is necessary because what it does is it actually reinvigorates what is actually a normal Orthodox way of life. Normal Orthodoxy invites everyone around us to embrace the kingdom of God. That's normal in Orthodox Christianity. Now, you may say, but Father, it's not normal in the way I was raised, or that's fine. We've been around 20 centuries, gang, and the normal Orthodox life is missional. The normal Orthodox life is naturally evangelistic and outreach-oriented. The normal Orthodox life intends to Christianize even society. Why do you think the lifelong Orthodox in other countries had their entire culture shaped by the Orthodox faith? Because it's normal for Orthodoxy to shape the society. That's normal. What isn't normal is to say that Orthodoxy belongs to only this group or that group or this category of people or that category of people. That's not normal, nor is it Orthodox. So changing the mindset begins a year before the festival gets going. And you begin to do that by encouraging the men and women that are working your festival in your parish, starting with Father, to encourage them to start assuming that the whole purpose of the festival, if we raise money, that's great, glory to God. But the purpose of the festival is to invite our neighbors to come and see the glorious joy of our faith. One of the things that I tell our folks that do our church tours during our 3-day festival is the reason why there's so much joy out there, the reason why the food tastes as good as it does, is because of the stuff that goes on here in the church. It's our theology made incarnated, made visible, that you see in the dance costumes, in the joy of the people, in the joy that they have in serving you and being around each other. That flows from a particular Orthodox mindset of hospitality and love and outreach. We really are joyful people. And so that mindset shift is absolutely necessary. It doesn't have to start big. It can start very small because you think, oh goodness, this church has been around for 100 years or 150 years or however how long your parish has been around. And it's going to be tough to change this mindset. Of course it's going to be tough. This is hard work. Being Orthodox on purpose is hard work. The key is understanding why the hard work is worth it. And if you don't know why the hard work is worth it, you'll never put the effort in to make the shift. So that's the thing that we worked on quite some time. When I came to Cumming, I said, folks, we're not going to use our festival as a fundraiser anymore. Now, if we raise money, great, but that's not going to be the why of our festival anymore. Well, I can't justify having 10,000 people on my property for 3 days and not invite them to explore the Orthodox faith. In fact, since we've changed this mindset, 90% of our new families that come to our parish are a direct result of our outreach during the festival. 90%, 9 out of 10 of our new families. When I got there, we had about 35 people in church. Now we have a building that seats 150, and now we have anywhere between that number and 180 people every Sunday. And that's because we can't fit everybody that calls our parish their church home there. We can't do it anymore. We got to build a church. Wow. It's a great problem. It's still a problem, but it's a great problem. But it comes because of the mindset shift away from inward thinking and towards outward thinking. A parish that is inward thinking is planning its own funeral. A parish that's outward thinking and assumes that the people who live across the street could potentially become part of their community, that parish is planning on surviving and lasting until Jesus comes. So that's the big thing, Tamaida, that I hope everybody gets. It really begins with a mindset shift. Why are you doing a festival? If you're doing a festival only to pay your bills, trust me, you're going to wear your people out. They're going to get exhausted, and you're going to constantly be wondering, how in the world are we going to do this again next year, and how are we going to get more volunteers?
Yeah.
But if you do the festival for outreach, then all of your people are energized with a normal Orthodox motivation for having people come to see them at their home. The Orthodox theology of hospitality kicks in, and God gives us grace and strength. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Holy moly. That was a sermon. I'm glad you recorded that. I hope I remember what I said.
Yep, we have it recorded for your benefit too.
Thank God.
So on that note, I want to share some of the ideas that I've collected for nurturing the festival outreach mindset. And I was talking to Shane about this a couple weeks ago, actually, and that there's so many things you can do in preparation for the festival. And one of those is I'm going to put a little link in the chat window here for a handout that has some PDF resources for you. But one of those things is to read Journey to Orthodoxy articles, especially those from people that have become Orthodox through a festival. And I was thinking, I'm imagining that's a meeting, like if you started the meeting with prayer and then read one of these journeys that would take about 3 to 5 minutes to read, and then go on with the business of the festival. That also just helps you to kind of infuse each meeting with some purpose and some, kind of a devotional time to think about why you're doing it and what impact it could have on someone's life. So those are included in the handout. There's 3 articles that we published this year from COM on our blog, and they're all by people who became Orthodox through their experience at a Greek Orthodox festival. And another one is to always be praying the weeks before the festival, praying at those meetings, and asking, God to open the hearts and minds of those who are coming, and really praying that He will expand your church family through the festival.
Yeah.
And I think when we stand together in prayer, and somebody is reading this prayer or the priest is leading the prayer on that topic, it really helps us to kind of focus our time and attention in that way. And there's, it's a beautiful, grace-filled act that we align our intention with our prayers. And then, even inviting people that have become Orthodox through a festival to come tell their story. Maybe while you're making kularakia, somebody can be telling their story. You can multitask and make it interactive in that way. And also just talking about it. I think those are good ways. Are there any others, Father Barnabas, that come to mind in preparation?
Well, I think, and basically a training part of it, and we'll even see that in another slide, to train all of your people. I assume that all of you are doing church tours. If you're not doing church tours, start them this festival. Even if it's just walking people around saying, hey, this is what this means. Do church tours. And what we've done here in Cumming is we've trained every one of our cashiers, every one of our festival workers to think of the church tours as the center of the festival. This is the most important part of the festival. Not the food line, not the dances. All of those are wonderful, but they all support the church tours. And we train all of our people to ask our guests, have you taken the church tour? Did you see the church tour? If you haven't taken the church tour, please do. Would you like for me to walk over with you? Have you ever seen the inside of an Orthodox church before? Ask those questions. Train them to ask. Thank you for coming to our festival. And I encourage, and by the way, did you take the church tour yet? Mm-hmm. Father Barnabas is doing a lecture in just about, we do church tours every hour on the half hour. And I present 4 lectures during those 3 days during that time. And then we have other workers that do just regular church tours through the time. But I do 4 lectures throughout that time as well to encourage folks to be there. It doesn't have to be a priest, by the way. If you have a trained layperson, please, and they can do the church tours. The key is to do follow-up. It's not going to be smart for you to plant the seed and then not harvest. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay, thank you. So also, I've included in that handout, it's 23 pages, and most of it, there's a lot of different signage that Father Barnabas has offered from his festival, so you may find that useful, signs that can go up in the church. And another thing in there is an outline of the church tours that we did at St. John the Baptist, and that's my parish here in Beaverton, Oregon. And it kind of outlines the topics to cover. It doesn't go into detail, like it's not training material, but it talks about what each person should cover and then gives that format and how they set up and everything for the church tour. So you may find that really helpful in preparing different people to give tours. So at the festival itself, one thing we did at St. John the Baptist is we always started with a small blessing of the waters about 4 to 5 hours before we even started the first day of the festival, when everybody's still setting up. And not everybody could make it into the church because they had duties around the grounds. But Father went around with the holy water and blessed every single station, every single person working. And I think it made a huge impact on people that are out there grilling, or people that are working the money booth, in the beer and wine area. They were feeling like, hey, we're all included in this sacred hospitality, act of hospitality. Even though we couldn't be in the church tours, or we couldn't, do that part of the festival, this is all blessed and it's all part of the same goal. So I think that was really meaningful. And then the other thing that I've written out is that loving hospitality, and Father Barnabas alluded to that already. It's like our food tastes great and they have a good experience there because we love one another. And so I think that's like the most important thing, is that you have to remember as you're working too, like that those relationships, people are hungering and thirsting for relationship and community. And that may be the thing that inspires them first, piques their interest first. So we have a couple questions. I am sharing the PowerPoint. Somebody asked if I'm able to share that with people later. I will upload it to the website afterwards, but right now it's just, I'm just going to be running through it. There's only a few slides, like 10 or 14, but I will make it available later on the website. And then another person asked the question that they have a gyros booth at a town event. And I think that's a pretty common thing, that some churches don't have a festival on their church grounds.
Right.
And so they're saying, should we be thinking bigger, or if we don't have a festival already, should we not pursue it? So Father Barnabas, would you like to offer an answer to that?
Oh, I think anyway, one of the things that we've done is we also do a food booth at the local technical college that's near our parish. And what we do is we offer an open house weekend. That might be another way for you to get folks to come to your church, because you want them to come into the church building so that you can talk to them about the faith. So it might be a good idea to say, you know what, thanks for coming out to our gyro booth. We've got an open house at our parish. Have you ever seen the inside of an Orthodox church? And even if you don't do that, if you just have brochures there, and if you just simply ask, would you like to learn more? We're going to do an Intro to Orthodoxy class, a Journey to Fullness class, coming up very soon. Would you like to know more about that? And just ask. All they can do is say no, and they can say, okay, here's a gyro.
Right. Great. So now I'd love to transition to hearing more about what you do specifically at your parish. And I know you already kind of started beginning to talk about how the festival tours are scheduled, but also, can you tell us more about follow-up? Because that's a huge...
Well, that's the key. I'm going to be honest with you folks. If you don't do follow-up, now this is actually, this goes across the board, not just the festival, but every Sunday morning, your welcome team should be ready to welcome guests to your community and have follow-up. We have an entire system that we use when a guest comes to our parish on a Sunday morning or anytime. We have a brochure booth out there that talks about different things in Orthodox. You can get it through Ancient Faith. It's a great program. I encourage you to do that. I especially load it up during the festival so that folks can pick it up, and you'll see one of the signs in the packet that's there it says, please take. That goes right over that brochure area. Those folks are invited to take that all the time. And every one of the little pamphlets that are there has a little spot that you can put the name of your church on there and the time your Sunday services are. That's extremely important to do that. But what we do specifically at the church tours is at the end of every church tour, all of our workers are trained, and I say specifically that we want to thank you for coming to our church tour. We want to thank you for coming to our festival. We want to thank you for being a part of this. You came for the food and for the gyros and the souvlaki and the dances and all that kind of stuff, but you came to the church tour. We want to say thank you for taking the time to do that. It's usually between 40 to 45 minutes church tour that we do. And we do it every hour on the half hour. And we say thank you. And when I say to them, I even have one of these little cards that you see on your screen. I want to thank you for coming to our festival. We have a gift that we would like to send you. It's a small little, it's a little refrigerator magnet that has our saints on it, Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene, and then Sunday morning, 10 a.m. We want to send you a little gift for coming to our festival and coming to our church tour. Would you please fill out the card? Also, if you're interested in learning more about Orthodoxy, there's a little box there. All you have to do is check that, and we'll make sure you know about a class that we're going to be starting the week after the festival called Journey to Fullness. And that's what we do. Now, we take that welcome card from the festival, and on Monday after the festival, what goes in the mail is a letter from me thanking them for coming. By the way, gang, this is also a good way to build your mailing list up for advertising your festival the following year as well. It's extremely important that you do follow up. And it's boilerplate, run-of-the-mill stuff. Okay, this isn't anything hard to figure out. But if you don't do follow-up, then you're just going to leave ripe fruit on the ground. So we ask them to do that. Everybody doesn't fill it out. That's okay. They don't have to. But those who do fill it out, everybody gets the little refrigerator magnet with a thank you letter from me. And those who mark the box, I'm interested in learning more about Orthodoxy, they get an invitation to the Journey to Fullness class that we start every year after the festival. Our festival happens in October, the third week in October, and the fourth week in October we start the classes. Wow,
that's great. And Father Barnabas, do you use a database at all for
basically, we just use a spreadsheet. It's anything more complicated than that. Just a spreadsheet, and on the spreadsheet, name, address, and phone number, email especially. By the way, they also get an email from me as well. They get an email from me the night after they come. It's automatic. The secretary knows to send it out. We populate the thing. Poof, they get it. Hopefully, they have it in their email box before they get home from the festival that night. That's the goal anyway.
Wow. And what was my question? I wanted to ask, do you find that people are reluctant to give any information?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes, and that's okay. That's all right. But the thing about it is, more folks aren't reluctant, especially when we tell them, I have a gift I want to send you. Everybody loves a gift. I love a gift. Is it free? Yes, it's free. Okay.
Okay, that's good to know. So we have another question. We're going to talk about church tours next. And as we transition to that topic, we have a question about wondering if there's a YouTube video of a sample church tour.
There is. All you have to do is go to my YouTube channel, Barnabas Powell, Father Barnabas Powell. Just go to YouTube and look through the videos there. And there is a video of a sample church tour that I did a few years ago.
Okay. Great. Okay.
If I think about it, I'll put it at the very top.
Okay, sounds good. So, in talking about the church tour, and again, I referenced this a little bit earlier in the packet. I recommend providing an outline for all the presenters so that there is some uniformity in the tours. And you may find that it would be great to have a class or have everybody get together and watch the YouTube video of Father Barnabas giving a tour. I think there are some other clergy that have also done online tours, virtual tours of churches that you may find helpful. You could even have a text that you have everyone read in preparation. At St. John the Baptist, we had the priest, a deacon, and a couple other lay leaders that were giving tours. And they did it every year, so they, perfected their methodology as they went. And each one brought their own focus and character, but we covered all the same topics. And then halfway through the tour, about 30 minutes in, the choir members, or a small selection of them, would come in and sing 3 to 4 selections from, to give them a sampling of Byzantine music or the music that we do in the church. And we also had a dress form in the church with vestments. It was vested with clear deacon and priest vestments. And we brought out some of the liturgical items like the chalice and those items on a table that we kept on the solea. And there was a place for an iconography display as well. And that was a room that was set apart. So it really helped people to see, even though like our church building is not a finished church building yet, and it's a temporary space, but it still gave them the sense of like the worship and engaged all of their senses. So I really recommend whatever you can do on that level is great. And then prepare for questions. Sometimes you get really tricky questions. And so you just want to talk about that as a group as to what, how to answer those, and kind of maybe do some role playing. Do you have any comments on that, Father?
Yeah, I think that's really important. And the most important thing, especially if you have lay leaders that are doing that, is to encourage them to say, you know what, that's a great question. I don't know. But I'm going to ask the priest about it. Do you mind giving me a minute? Let me go ask the priest, or come back tomorrow and you can ask and we can ask the priest, and I'll get you an answer. Or would you please fill out one of the cards and I'll send you a little note in your email what the answer is.
Great.
That's another way to connect. You're trying to build relationships, gang. It's the whole idea of the funnel. You put names in the top, and then eventually the folks that are interested are coming out of the bottom. By the way, for those of you who are interested on the YouTube channel, if you look up Beauty Will Save the World, it's the Church Tour 2012. Okay? That's the church tour thing. It's 30 minutes.
Okay. All right. And then the last thing I added is to offer follow-up forms. So we just want to emphasize that throughout today's presentation.
Yeah. If you're not going to do follow-up, folks, don't do a church tour. I'm just saying. If you're not going to do follow-up, for goodness sakes, save the energy, because you're just laying right fruit on the ground.
Right.
Follow-up is the key. So
the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is the bookstore. And this is such a vital place, even for Sunday mornings, but especially for festivals. It's a place where people who don't know anyone, maybe they came by themselves, or maybe their friend is locked in conversation somewhere. And so they wander into the bookstore, and it's kind of a safe haven, a place where they can interact and look at things, even if they don't know somebody else. So, really prepare your bookstore staff for that. And make sure that there are many church campuses where the bookstore is maybe in a hidden part of the campus, or during the festival, things get rearranged, and so the bookstore is hard to find. So really do whatever you can to bring the bookstore to the people. If you need to create a little satellite bookstore, or if you need to put some of the titles in the church, or in the narthex, or finding a way to get them out there where the people are really going to be, is a great advantage to them. And also make sure to make your basics of orthodoxy titles front and center. And those can be, any book that's written about coming to orthodoxy from different faith traditions, or the Orthodox Church, or becoming Orthodox, those titles that indicate, they may even just plant the seed that, people become Orthodox. They may just glance at that table, and that suddenly plants that seed for them. So that can be really meaningful for people to look at those books and have those front and center.
And I would also recommend that you get extra timelines of church history. That's always a really, really big deal. You can get them from Ancient Faith Publishing or some other places. You can even download some stuff from the web. But a timeline of church history is probably the number one thing that goes out the door during our festival.
Yes. And, to that point, I know that that's something that I recommend to people, is to print one of those really large format and have it hanging, or have it on an easel somewhere, because again, it's a visual, it's a very passive thing that somebody can kind of look at that as they're waiting for somebody else, and it plants a seed for sure. And I think what I'm going to do, just for everyone, for everyone's reference and as a resource later, is I'm going to look around to see if I can get one that's kind of copyright free that I could share on our website, so that it would be like a high resolution graphic that you could just download from our website and print locally. because I think some of the concern is finding a really good one and finding one that you're not just, you're stealing somebody's graphic art or something, and it's hard to get a high resolution file. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for our website. So check back for the timeline.
Maida, I would also recommend, if they also find, several years ago, U.S. News and World Report did a cover actually on their magazine on a timeline of church history, and I don't know if they had an Orthodox influence there, but it showed the Orthodox Church, is unchanged since the very beginning. And I don't even know if U.S. News and World Report still even exists anymore, but several years ago they did a timeline of church history. They had Jesus on the cover in the timeline, and it was absolutely amazing. We have that blown up very, very big that goes into our narthex for our church tour.
Okay, wow, that's awesome resource. So you have the one from U.S. News and World Reports? Yeah,
it's I don't have it in electronic form, unfortunately, but it's out there.
Great. So the next area that we want to talk about is what if you're short on staff? And this is where I've talked to some people and they're like, we really just don't have anybody to staff in different areas of the festival. Like, we're kind of all working the food booths, or we have Father do a church tour, but the rest of the time he's out there grilling with us. So I just want to emphasize the importance of that loving hospitality in doing everything around the festival. That makes such a huge impact. And I know for a fact that one of the people that became Orthodox through our festival at St. John's said that, it was just her experience of being around us. And she was helping out her sister who was helping with the festival. So she was working with us. But what a great testimony that even in working with us, she just found it to be such a loving and inviting community, and she wanted to learn more. So that's great, and that's the most important thing, I think. And then the other thing I would say is try to maximize the waiting areas, because like we talked about the timeline of church history, another thing we did at St. John the Baptist is we put up a bulletin board with different journeys to Orthodoxy, and we kind of selected, people from different backgrounds, that they came from Catholicism or a Protestant background or an unchurched background. And so we put those all up on a bulletin board near where the bathrooms are. So they were, there were people that were waiting for somebody, and they were just like standing there kind of passively reading it. And so the intention was just like, here, you're getting to know us as a parish. You might have even seen this person serving you on the campus. But you're also getting to know that people do become Orthodox, and that's a new idea for a lot of people. And then I also wanted to recommend icon buttons. So I have a little one of St. Minas here. A woman told me a story from a couple months ago that she was wearing an icon of St. John Maximovich on her apron at a festival, like a farmer's market. And she works a booth at a farmer's market. And during the course of one Saturday, she didn't even remember that the button was there, but it had been on from a previous event. And she had several people ask her, who is that? Is that St. John? Is that the saint that's in San Francisco? And so she was able to have several conversations sparked by wearing the icon of the local saint. So I would say, maybe St. John is the perfect person for your community, or maybe you want to have an icon of Christ or the Theotokos or your patron saint at your parish. So that's something to consider, and it's something that you can have every member of your festival staff wearing it, and then that may spark conversations that can lead to directing them to the church tour, the bookstore. So make sure to do that as well. Direct visitors to the bookstore and the church tours, as Father Barnabas said. And then if you aren't able to have somebody in the church all the time, maybe you can set up an informational video, have liturgical music playing, and create kind of a sacred space for people to go in and pray. And it's best to have it monitored, of course. I think it's really important to have it monitored by someone, but maybe not have a church tour or somebody to be able to explain things the entire time, but they can at least create that space for people to participate in. Any other thoughts on short on staff, Father?
Well, I think the key is, even if you are short on staff, the mindset's the key. The mindset's the key. Everybody that comes here today wants to be Orthodox. That's whether they realize it or not. So as much as you can do, put the brochures out. We have a video that's actually playing in the narthex of either one of the Journey to Fullness videos or some other informational videos that's just playing there. So even if you just have, you put a computer monitor out there and just have something on a loop, at least it's something with the follow-up cards available to folks so that they can get more information if they want it.
Right.
And if you don't have anybody to do that, put a box there with a slit in the top and say, hey, please put your information cards in here.
Great. So offer follow-up cards should be on every one of these slides and all over your notes. And then follow up. So,
yep.
So what if you're short on time? And the meaning of that is, what if your festival is in the next month or 2 weeks? And so I just listed some of the things that we've already talked about that I think that you can print pretty easily or order. So follow-up forms, you can tweak the ones that Father Barnabas sent out. And I have that in a Word document. Please email me separately. I didn't upload it as a Word document, but I can send that out. A parish brochure, I have an example of a parish brochure in the PDF handout. What is Orthodoxy brochures? You can either find those from Ancient Faith, as Father Barnabas mentioned, from the Greek Archdiocese, or from St. John the Forerunner Monastery in Goldendale, Washington has a really lovely one. They're 25 cents each, but they're great.
Wow.
And they have a timeline. Clear signage, and so making sure people can find your tours. Those are really easy to print out, and Father has shared all of the signs that he uses in the church with us. Informational DVD like Journey to Fullness, or there's some other options on YouTube that maybe you can play short videos. Banners. I can envision that. What if every person as they leave your festival parking area sees a sign, when you leave a state, it says, come back now, or we're really glad that you visited Oregon. You could say something like, we hope to see you next Sunday, or, come back on a Sunday and worship with us. It'd be great to have a like an exit banner like that. Church history timeline, as we talked about, icon buttons, and then the bulletin board. So those are all things. Maybe you can't do all 9 in the next 2 weeks, but if you could do 1 or 2, and make sure you have a system to create the follow-up. So
that's it.
Anything you'd like to add on that?
The only thing that I would encourage you to do, there's some stuff that's real quick. Follow-up cards are without question, but I think we're going to get in there. I have a sample letter that you can send out. All you have to do is tweak it. Tomaida has all of this stuff. So all of the stuff that you need to just make it an assembly line thing. Gather the cards, get the email addresses, get the mailing addresses, and send it out. You can do that fairly quickly. The main thing, again, as I keep emphasizing, is mindset shift. This is a priority. In our parish, it's the priority, but at least this is a priority. So we're going to make this a priority, and we're going to do follow-up necessary to take seriously the interest of the people who have expressed it.
Great. So I think that concludes the things that we had planned to talk about. And please keep putting your questions in there. We just have another question about parishioner involvement. Does Father Barnabas lead the event? And I think that means, does Father Barnabas lead the festival, like chair the festival? Or
no.
Does the parish council?
No, the parish council, and we have a festival chairman every year that I approve, because the festival chairman that is there has to be someone who has bought hook, line, and sinker into this vision of the festival is an outreach tool. Mm-hmm. And by the way, when we changed our festival to primarily an outreach tool, we raised more money.
Wow.
Just to be honest with you, we raised more money when we moved the emphasis off raising money to outreach and evangelism. When we did that, the money went up. So there you go. So that's somebody that's somebody that the one who chairs the festival is the one who has bought into this vision.
Great. And then the second part of that question is, how available are you at the event?
All over the place. If I'm not doing a tour or a lecture, I'm on the grounds talking to people and thanking them for coming. I walk through the food tent. Hey, how's the food? Is it good? And say hello to people. That's just my personality, though. I mean, not all priests, thank God, not all priests are like that. But the reality is that's just who I am. I'm there all 3 days, and I'm on the grounds if I'm not doing. In fact, from the stage, the guys playing the music on the stage are already used to me walking up and saying, "Okay, it's my turn," and I get on the microphone and I say, "Folks, all right, we're about to do a lecture. Y'all come into the church tour, then I'll let you come back out and eat again." So, but yeah, it's something that we do, and I'm there a lot.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something I'm glad you brought that up, because when it's important to have the church tours on, like if you have a published schedule, to have them all
Mm-hmm.
on there,
Mm-hmm.
or to at least post, they're done every hour on the half hour. And then what, is really important to have somebody who's kind of emceeing the event or on the loudspeaker and says, folks, there's a church tour starting in 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to,
Yep.
It's an awesome opportunity to learn more about our church and see the beauty of Orthodoxy. We invite you all to go in and, to make that announcement throughout the day, because many times people lose track of time and don't.
Sure.
So.
Well, and I will encourage you this, if you have the staff, I have, no matter what, even in between church tours, there's always somebody there sitting in the narthex. We have the church tour ministry team understands that somebody mans the church as long as we have guests on the grounds. Somebody is there in the narthex to answer questions, to give brochures, to direct in different things, and even to do impromptu Q&A. I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody send me a note saying, "Hey, Father, there's somebody in the narthex that wants to ask you a question." So that's what I go do. Okay.
And we have a follow-up question about the profit. Why did profits go up? Why do you think that profits went up when the festival focus changed to outreach?
Well, I'll just be honest with you. I think the reason why is we took the emphasis off ourselves, and we took the emphasis off the Xeni paying our bills. Just to be honest with you, and in doing that, I think God was gracious to cooperate with our work to expand His kingdom. And that's wonderful and that's good. Now, I will tell you this, our goal is eventually to have every bit of the money that we raise, we still are using, much to my shame, we're still using a portion of our festival proceeds to pay our general fund. That is, we have a 5-year goal to be completely weaned off festival money and be completely supported by stewardship. That's our goal, and that's our vision, and that's what we want to see happen.
Right.
Oh, by the way, somebody else asked a question about police presence. You better believe it. We have a good relationship with the sheriff's department. I'm a former police officer myself, so I kind of like hanging around with the guys, and we have them there, and they're very much part. We have to park off of our property, and we bus all of our folks into the festival, and they're extremely important to help us. And by the way, interestingly enough, the buses drop them off in front of the church. Wow. So they have to go by the church where the doors are open and big church tour sign is there. That's where they're dropped off. That's where they go home, in front of the church.
Okay, so I wanted to invite everybody. We have kind of finished with the program that we have, but if I was going to unmute people, or you can maybe you can unmute yourself, or maybe I'll unmute everyone, and then if you want to be muted, you can go ahead and do that. And if you'd like to ask a question full voice, we'd welcome you to do that. So, anybody?
Tom, Aida, may I share my screen with them about the Journey to Fullness stuff there? Because I don't think.
Yes, please. Thank you, Father.
I wanted to make sure that we do that. The thing that we've done here is that we have I've created this video series called Journey to Fullness, and let me see if I can pull it up here and make this happen. Let me see here. Can you guys see that? No, you can't see that. You just see me. Let me get out of the way. How about now? Can you see it now?
No,
no, you can't.
There's a button towards the bottom of.
Yeah, I saw it. I clicked it. It didn't do anything. Okay. So blast it. So let's do this. let me do this. Let me just give you the website. Let me give you the website. It's store.ancientfaith.com.
Okay.
Oh, I know. Here, wait a second. Let me push another button. Move this over here and see if I can't do that. Can you see it now?
Yes.
So that's the Ancient Faith. That's the Journey to Fullness. It's a 16 video series that is just an intro to Orthodoxy. It's not a catechism. Can't be catechized through a video. Can't be catechized through a book. You can learn stuff. That's great, but you got to be catechized face to face. It's 16 videos. They're approximately 20 minutes each, and it comes with a workbook as well. And you can get that from Ancient Faith, from ancientfaith.com. If you go to store.ancientfaith.com and look up Journey to Fullness, you can actually even download the videos through Vimeo as well. So I hope that helps.
Great. Thank you
And if
so
you have
much.
any questions about Journey to Fullness or how we've been using, in fact, it's some of you folks may already, I think Jim and Shirley are already using it in their communities. They can say something if they want about that.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to say so. The OCF, our Orthodox Christian students, are particularly devoted, and we find that the Journey to Fullness prompts us with this wonderful presentation that Father Barnabas gives, and then there's some very thoughtful questions that are in the workbook that give us fodder for a discussion that often lasts for longer than we really have time for, but it's very, very good. I don't know where you got your ideas, Father Barnabas, but you really have come across with a wonderful series. I recommend it. It's worth every penny.
Good, thank God. And I will tell you this: it isn't a catechism. Somebody just asked a question. It can't be used as a It can be used as a catechism tool, but only as the beginning. It's only an intro. Catechism. In fact, we use it here at our parish as a pre-catechism. What that means is every person that's going to be received as a catechumen has to go through this class first. Then at the end of the series, they're invited if they would like to become a catechumen, or if they say that. We always tell them you're free to say yes and you're free to say no. If you're not free to say no, you're not free to say yes. So we tell people this is if you want to enter the church, this is the pre-catechism. At the end of that, then you can become a catechumen. Had a lady ask me, she said, "Father, how long am I going to be a catechumen?" I said, "I don't know. I have no idea."
That's
When
right.
you're faithful,
That's
are you
right.
the faithful?
That's right.
Hey, Father, it's Jim, and as we shared before the webinar, we used the Journey of Fullness, the first 8 episodes that took us right up to Holy Week, and it was so well received in our adult religious education that we are now already started on the second disc. So kudos, it's fantastic, and thank you very much.
God bless you. St. George asks a good question. How does our catechism differ? In our community, once they become catechumens, then they become one-on-one with me. Part of their catechism, I do adult education every Wednesday night after Vespers. Part of their catechism, once they finish this class, is they have to be at church. They have to be faithful. And in my opinion, and fathers, please correct me if I'm wrong, the divine liturgy and the rhythm of prayer in the Orthodox Church, that's the reason why the number one way that an Orthodox church grows is with lots of church services. You want your Orthodox church to grow, do church a lot. Do church as much as you possibly can. Have church services. Because the hymnology of the Orthodox Church catechizes a person. So they have to, and everybody comes to me from a different background and from a different baggage, and so they need that father-child relationship as they're being brought into the church. So it's extremely important that happens. So that's how the catechism differs from this kind of clinical and classroom-oriented thing. It becomes much more about building a relationship with them. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think it was Journey to Fullness created to watch in a group setting. It wasn't necessarily created.
Yeah, but you know what? I've been surprised that there have been folks that have been in fact, I had a priest email me today. He says, "Father, can I download the Vimeo and share it with this family that I'm working with, and they want to watch it at home. Of course you can. I mean, none of Logimeno. May it be blessed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. So yeah, I think it can be watched individually. It can be watched in a group setting. I recommend a group setting simply because it's a relationship building tool. That's the main value of getting the group together, is the building of relationships, which is the key to living the Orthodox phronema, the Orthodox mindset.
Beautiful. Are there any other questions people want to ask at voice?
Okay.
Okay.
I can't hear you, Shane. Do sign language.
Shane, maybe can you type it in?
Yeah, type it in, and that way we'll read it.
Yeah. Father Jan, do you have any questions?
No, just to thank Father Barnabas, express our gratitude. We'll be moving
It's great to hear your voice, Father. How are you, dear friend?
Glory be to God. Our festival is coming up in September.
Well, God bless you.
So we need your prayers.
Good strength to you.
Thank you all.
We have, while Shane's typing that, we have a question about Facebook. How do you maintain touches with Facebook, or do you follow up with?
It's hard work. I will tell you this. I use most of the social media as intro stuff, and relationship building starts with as they start following up with me. And to be honest with you, I can't keep up with it. And by God's grace, the ministry that I have, Faith and Courage Ministries. By the way, if you need some resources, I really recommend the daily devotional. That's something that's 5 minutes. It's audio as well. If you saw on the YouTube channel, all the homilies are there. But for the blessings of God have been, after we've done the Journey to Fullness and the daily devotional, the context have really kind of, I can't keep up with it, so I don't try. But I was able to hire somebody. Emily Goki is my assistant now, and she's helping me with speaking engagements and things like that as well. So that's been a tremendous help to me to have somebody online to help me out to do that. So Facebook and Instagram, and I cross post on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, as well as the website as well. So that's basically what I use, and that's basically just beginning outreach. We're going to try to start building some more things through Facebook Live to create more interaction through the social stuff, but I just simply haven't had the time.
Right. And I know Kenny has another question about that, but we're going to jump to Shane's question right now. Any further resources for your follow-up ministry, papers, handouts, or letters? Because I know you talked about that topic quite a bit at the Portland conference. So I think we talked about that a lot, especially in relation to Sunday.
Yeah, I'm sure I can pull something together, and I'll send it to you, Tommy Ada. You can share it with the gang. We have a system. The day that a guest comes to our community on Sunday morning, they are greeted by the welcome ministry team. We don't have any committees at Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene. There's no such thing as a committee. Even the parish council is the parish council ministry team, because all of us are ministers. So when they come, they're given a welcome packet, and I think, Tom Ada, you have a copy of that welcome packet available at the COME website.
Yes, and well, I don't have a copy for download, but I definitely have pictures on the COME website. And we also, when we did our webinar in January, it was just on welcome ministry. We walked through that whole packet.
Yep.
And some of your slides from that.
Yeah. So it's important. They fill out a guest card, and there's a portion on there if they want to ask Father questions. All that's on there. But before the welcome team ministry leaves that day on Sunday morning, we have a group of postcards that are already stamped, and they fill out a thank you postcard. That postcard goes in the mail before they go home from church. Then the next day, the secretary sends the letter from me. and then they get a letter from the parish council. Then they get another letter from me and an email, if I have an email address, inviting them to church the next Sunday.
Wow.
On average, an American needs 7 to 12 touches before they will respond once. That's the reality, and that's what we're up against, gang. That's the reason why somebody asked me, they said, well, Father, isn't that imposing yourself? It certainly is. You better believe it's imposing myself, because their house is on fire and I want to pull them out before they die.
Thank you, Father.
Hey, Shane, yay. I heard your voice. I'm very jealous of that pipe, St. George. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Hey, Father, quick question for you to take that just a little bit one step further. We're trying to take our welcoming ministry to the next level. We've been working on it for the last year. Did you mention, and I've also seen your video that you did last year at the conference.
Right.
Did you say that you went to Ancient Faith and there was a welcoming program or guide that was maybe further detailed, or did I misunderstand that?
No, I think Ancient Faith has some welcoming brochures that are very good, but I'm not quite sure that, one of the next things that I want to do, just to be honest with you, did we disappear? My computer just went to sleep.
We can see you.
Good, outstanding. Okay, I'm back now. Yay. Now I can see you. One of the things that I am seriously considering doing is to create a video, just a short video to walk a community through doing a welcome ministry team. I'm going to do that when I have time. The problem is, guys, we got a growing parish here. We got to build a church, and it's a great problem. But I want to start using some of these tools here, like these webinars, and Tomaida and I are going to partner together and do some stuff so that we can create some resources for you. The main thing is just to start. Make the mistakes. Just start. Just be hospitable. Just assume the person walking into your door. For instance, we've developed our welcome ministry team. We have them at every event in our church. If there's a wedding, we have a welcome ministry team. If there's a wedding in our church, we have a welcome ministry team. If there's a funeral, we have a welcome ministry team. If there's a baptism, we assume that people coming to our church need to be treated with great hospitality.
John had a question earlier, and I just want to let everybody know if you need to go. I know we're at the 5 o'clock time, so thank you so much for coming, and feel free to leave when you need to. But since we have Father Barnabas with us, we want to ask a couple more questions. John had a question earlier about how many members are generally on a welcome ministry team, and I think his question may relate both to how many are present each Sunday in the narthex and how many total would be.
Oh, that's a good question. We have between 12 and 14 members on our team, and they rotate around 2 at a time.
Great. And then do you have like a parking ministry component that?
Not yet, but one of the things that we did do at my insistence is we have 4 parking spaces reserved for guests, and there are signs reserved for guests. Yes,
we have those too, and I think it's helped.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important again, of course, this is a big, long discussion about even the way we keep our grounds, the flowers we plant, the way the place looks. That right now they're tearing the road up in front of our church. They're widening the road, which is insane. We're 2 years of a mess. But everything we try to do, for instance, the number one thing that a guest looks for in a church when they go to that church is the women's bathroom. Is it clean? Is it welcoming? Is it well taken care of? Is the woman's bathroom clean? The second spot is where the kids area. Is it clean? Is it safe? Can I leave my kids here? Those small details are huge to guests.
Yes. And Kenny is offering from St. George that they're working on a full greeter ministry guide as well as wedding, baptism, and funeral welcome packets. So that's
Thank
awesome.
God. Wisdom. That's fantastic.
That'll
please
be great.
share that with me. I don't want to recreate the wheel, St. George. God bless you.
Yeah, so please do share those with us when you have them ready. And you have a question, Kenny. Sometimes, I don't know, do you want to voice some of these questions? Because I'm not sure if you want answers to all of them, but Father Barnabas just said 7 to 12 touches. And then Kenny's question is this still true for the modern era? And we do about 4 to 8.
That's good, but the problem is, depending on your local area. We are in the Metro Atlanta area, and frankly, there are 15 million different distractions, and we have several large mega churches in our area that are much more well equipped with a full. Please forgive me for using this phrase, folks, but it's just the best way to talk about it. With a full marketing strategy that we need 7 to 12 touches.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear you, George. You're muted.
Here.
Unmute. Go.
There you go.
I guess my specific question is, so we were concerned about the 7 to 12 being too much.
Yes, no such thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not possible.
What we have done is when someone comes into our church, we have a agreement that when they get a free book, they fill out a greeter's card. And for filling out the greeter's card, they get a free book.
Cool.
We respond to them the next week. And then through that, there might be a phone call from our priest. And then there's an invitation to come back again.
Good.
That's the first week. And the second week is, oh, they came back again. Well, let's invite them to Vespers.
Yep.
So it's kind of a gradual progress there. But we do kind of pull ourselves back from the 7 to 12 just because of the annoyance level.
Yeah, it's no such thing. They're being annoyed a lot more by other groups than they will be by you. I guarantee you Facebook and Twitter and their local supermarket will be bombarding. There's a reason why they spend $30 billion a year in advertising.
Yeah. Okay.
So don't worry about that. I want to be at least as important to them as their local supermarket. Okay.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So I guess right now we're in the experimentation phase.
That's cool. And I will tell you this: if you can couple some of those touches with letter and email. Phone call is every phone call is an interruption. All phone calls are an interruption. No matter when you make the phone call, it's always an interruption. But an email is much more passive. A letter is more passive. A postcard is more passive. Some kind of invitation to check out our Facebook page. All of that's passive stuff. I am judicious with the phone call specifically because all phone calls are interruptions.
Okay, so I guess I have a follow-up question then. So for our greeter ministry, we get a lot of information. What we don't get is their actual physical address. So there's no mailing of letters or postcards.
Yeah, get that.
It's phone calls. You have good success in actual old-fashioned mail.
Yeah. Well, what it is, it's one tool in the toolbox. The key is we want to start breaking through the noise of the rest of their life to be present. That's the reason why we use the refrigerator magnet with the saints' names and the saints icon and the Sunday morning at 10 a.m. I want to be passively present in the busyness of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so it's just direct mail is just one tool. Email is a tool. If you're going to use Facebook and if you're going to use a website, for heaven's sake, make sure that the Facebook and website is up to date.
Yeah, for sure. We do that for sure.
Looks good. And if you do that, you're 1,000% ahead of the game.
If you were to identify it as one tool that you preference above all others, would it be mail, Facebook, or email? Email. Okay.
Email and phone call. Email and phone call is the first two things that will really start breaking the ice. Email.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, we want to thank everyone. We'll wrap it up now. We really want to respect your time. And thank you, Father Barnabas. It's really a treat to have you
Thanks.
face-to-face. And appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to join us and talk about festival outreach. And I really hope this helps everyone to implement a few things, most important being follow-up, but a few things in your upcoming festivals, and may it be blessed. And I hope you have a wonderful evening and the rest of your Pascha season. Thank you so much for coming.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye.